Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, just here. Sorry, I thought you did not want us to be in the leadership panel, but that's the opposite of what you wanted. So, are we waiting? We're waiting on everyone else.
Yeah, I'm letting the CCF recruiter in.
Hey guys,
Hey,
Hi,
Stella, how are
Stella.
you?
good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I am waiting for the
Good.
other Twitter folks to get in here, and then we'll get kicked off.
Great. Good event. Congrats.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Stella. This is Mariana. I think we met at one team,
Yeah,
but
we have.
yeah, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, it has changed a lot since we knew each other.
So much
The world is
has
not
changed.
the same.
Totally. You're in Dublin, right?
No, so I moved to Singapore. So
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
was in Dublin for years, and I was leading the team in Dublin. And then last year, Tammy asked me to come to Singapore for 3 months for exchange, and then asked me to stay. So now I'm leading the APAC team.
Wow. Awesome. That's right. I remember you saying that now.
Yeah, it's a long journey. Also, it's been a long time with. I guess you expect some changes, right?
Yeah, of course. How long have you been with the company now?
Over 7 years.
Okay. Wow. That's impressive.
What about you, Mariana? How long you with us? You for a couple of years now, right?
Just 1 year. Yeah, I hit my 1 year Twitterversary about a week or 2 weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
Look at that. You
you.
made it through.
I made it one whole year.
And
Yeah.
what a year it's been, right?
I'm sorry.
What a year it's been, like with all that's happening in the world.
Yeah, so much has happened, but it keeps me on my feet. That's what I have to say.
I
Yeah,
think we all feel the same. Just to
totally.
survive 2020.
I know. And there's 3 more months left. So it's insane how the year just flew by. So we
True
have
story.
3 viewers.
We're waiting on the other engineers and PMs and stuff to get here. I think Laura was here a few minutes ago, so let me connect with her before I allow people to come into the room.
So we're not public yet?
We are public.
Okay, got it. Hello, public.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. All three viewers. Or is that us? Anyway. So Stella, what day and time is it in Singapore?
So for us, it's Friday already. So almost weekend. Yay!
Yay!
Few more hours and weekend is here for sure. So the only challenge is I'm actually hiding in bomb shelter, not a joke, because my daughter is off today of school, so she's running around and making loads of noises.
Oh my goodness. But so is that in your, like, where you live?
So yeah, so in Singapore, there was like you had to have a bomb shelter in each of the apartments. Now they changed the regulation to one massive bomb shelter, but they have it. So people are using that for like storage or like study room. So that's where I am. I'm kind of hiding away from my
Wow.
child.
Well,
You do not want to see her singing Let It Go first thing in the morning or your evening.
that sounds really entertaining, but I'm sure it's not after the 20th time.
Definitely not.
Hi, Laura. Hi, LeJorn.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
I think we're missing one.
David.
We're missing David, aka Mark. But I'll find him, and I will let you kick things off, Mariana and LL. You guys, all this is your show. Good luck.
Awesome. Thanks, Raphael. Hi, everyone. I see we have 6 viewers. So super excited to be here. I think we can kick things off by just introducing ourselves, and maybe we can do that every 20 minutes or so, just to let new viewers know who we are and why we're here. I'll get started. My name is Mariana Gonzalez. I've been at Twitter for 1 whole year now. I just hit my Twitterversary, and I work from Oakland at home, but I used to work out of our San Francisco office, and I'm on the events recruiting team. So very excited to be here today. Laura, do you want to go next?
Sure thing. Hi, folks. My name is Laura. I have been at Twitter for about 2.5 years, and I work as a manager, leading our technical program management team, working on helping serve the public conversation, and then also, in addition to that, very proudly, the global co-chair of Twitter Open, one of our internal employee resource groups for LGBTQIA folks.
Awesome. Yeah, we will definitely, I'll have many questions about BRGs, about program management. So yeah, coming up. LeJourne, do you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. My name is LeJourne Lays, and I am a diversity recruiter on the university recruiting team at Twitter. I've been at the organization now for about 2.5 years, and I'm actually a retweet. I worked here for left and then came back to Twitter. A large part of that is because I just love being at Twitter. Hashtag love where you work. And I'm sure we'll get into all of those stuff, but so excited to be here.
Cool. Stella, you're
So
up.
I guess I go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Stella. I am leading the recruiting team in APAC. I've been with Twitter for 7 years. And I started in Dublin and moved my way up to lead the team in Dublin. And last year I moved to Singapore to look after our APAC recruiting team. And we are recruiting for the customer and corporate functions. Great to be here. Thank you for letting us participate.
Cool. And we are waiting on one more person who represents our engineering organization. And there he is, right on time. Hi, Mark.
Hi everybody.
We were just going through introductions. So if you want to introduce yourself and your role and how long you've been at Twitter.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Mark, and I've been at Twitter for about 5.5 years, and I'm an engineering manager, a senior engineering manager, and I support teams that build Twitter's video infrastructure. So if you want to upload a video or even an image, or you want to do a live stream on Twitter, you would talk to one of the teams that I work with.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we are here until 7:30 today, and we're happy to answer any questions. I guess just to kick it off, we have a chat. So if you have questions that you would like one of us to answer, feel free to throw them in the chat. You can also join in and hang out with us here virtually, camera on, camera off, whatever you feel comfortable with. We have a few recruiters, and then Mark from engineering and Laura, technical program management. So very happy to answer any questions you all might have. And I will also mention, we are hiring. So we are hiring across all of our organizations, both technical and non-technical. Stella, as she mentioned, represents the non-technical side of the recruiting. And then LeJourne is our UR expert. So definitely ask us questions about our interview process and what we're looking for. But we can start maybe with Laura. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what your team does? A lot of questions we get are, what's the difference between program management and product management? So tell us more about that. Oh, you're muted.
had $1 for every time I've done that in the last 9 months. I'd have a lot of dollars.
Totally.
So I'll kind of separate out the two questions. First, what does my team do? And then a little bit about like the difference between TPM and PM. So my team, we help out in like what we typically kind of call consumer products at Twitter. So if you think about it, is like the things that you might see on the app, whether you're using like an Android or an iOS or any of those types of things, or when you type in www.twitter.com, or even we have like other products like TweetDeck and those types of things. But those aren't the only products that Twitter makes. We also have all these sorts of things that are really important for advertisers and how they do their stuff. And then also other stuff that we use internally. So there's all sorts of stuff that we can kind of refer to as products at Twitter. But my team kind of focuses on what we typically call consumer products. So things with our Bluebird on it that you might see on your app. And so my team focuses on combining the kind of most important things for product managers and top of mind, but also complex engineering. So it sits at the intersection of those two. So when it's hard to do and it's really important, that's kind of when we get involved. And my team focuses on participation. So that can be stuff across that you might see on the app that helps you, talk or chat to other folks, like conversation controls or these things that have launched recently. But then also really important stuff, because our job is not just to help grow people, talking in the conversation. We also, it's really important, and Jack mentioned a couple years ago that our #1 priority is the health of the conversation. So we also work on stuff related to that. So spam or misinformation or civic integrity, that can also come into this kind of big bucket of what we call as like consumer. So that's what we do as a team. And then to the second question, which is what is the difference between product management and program management? My favorite thing is to say that like they're pretty close friends. And a product manager, their job is to really own the why. So they understand the customer, the people who are hiring Twitter. They're the closest to the customer needs. And then engineering managers help build the product. And then all of our engineers go away and do it. Designers are there helping look at the vision in the future. And then we have all sorts of other folks that help make it happen. And a product manager kind of sits in the middle. It's a little bit of a hybrid role of them all. So we get to work on various stuff and partner with teams who invite us to the table to help them deliver their work. So it's a fun little team, and we get to work on loads of different stuff across the company.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And Mark, can you tell us a little bit more about your role, what your team does?
Sure, I can talk about the entire history of our sort of video at Twitter. So within Twitter, there are customer teams, consumer teams rather, that are building the experiences that you consume if you use Twitter, and it's kind of building the product as you know it. But then there are lots of layers underneath that that support all that stuff that you actually interact with, actually the back end, obviously. And so I guess the reason I went into that tangent is because the sort of media infrastructure team that I'm here representing is one of those sort of like core functionalities that sort of sit underneath the application that you see. So that's both on the client side or on the back end side. If there's something in Twitter that allows you to post media or watch media, a player, you're watching a video that somebody uploaded, or maybe you're watching a CNN broadcast, a live broadcast from BBC or somewhere, or maybe you're watching a live Salesforce sponsored event that they do. So all of that has to go through some infrastructure in the back, and also infrastructure in the actual client. There's a player there. We're keeping track of metrics because Salesforce is paying us, and they want to know how much, how many views they're getting, how long people are watching, what parts of the are being watched. So there's a lot of metrics infrastructure that goes into it, so that we can actually give accurate reporting to our paying customers or business customers. If you are a sort of a broadcaster that broadcasts on Periscope or Twitter Live yourself, you want to know how many engagements you've had. So we keep metrics about that. But then also when you upload your video or you live broadcast, we need to make that happen quickly for you. We want people to be able to share videos and images without having to wait around. And then when people view those images, we want them to look really crisp, or videos, we want them to look like high quality and be able to adapt the quality depending on where you're sitting. You know, maybe your network is good, or maybe you're on a really bad cell connection and you don't want to spend a lot of money on data. You know, you want to conserve your data. So we have to sort of build infrastructure that can give you that adaptive experience, to maximize quality depending on where you are, and to make sure that if you're watching a live stream, that it's smooth, and that you you don't experience dropouts. I guess people say lagging these days, but we call them stalls or pauses. This is pretty stream of consciousness, isn't it? So
Doing great.
Doing great. Thanks.
We're all learning a lot. I am, for sure.
So yeah, so I mean, this is a particular part of Twitter's sort of engineering infrastructure that's related to media, to be the most exciting topic. You know, we support media from, as I said, uploading videos and pictures, but all the way to, we have products that allow you to actually communicate in real time. So just as we're doing in a video conference right now, you can do some conferencing type behaviors within Twitter. And hopefully pretty soon that will be a little more apparent. And so it's exciting for me to sort of be involved in all of those technologies, you know, WebRTC and, you know, media encoding and that sort of stuff. So yeah, we have, you know, one thing I'll say about Twitter is that given all the sort of functionality we support, it's a pretty small team. So we only have about 19 people involved in that. And all of those different modalities, images, videos, live videos, real-time communication. And so people are saying that we're hiring. There on the right in the chat, you're right, we're hiring. We need a lot of people. And one of the things, I'm just gonna, since I'm here, I'm gonna talk about what my team needs. It's difficult to find people that have the depth of experience in media, particularly. And so we're really open to people who are interested in learning, and maybe you've got an experience as a software developer. Maybe you've touched media. Maybe you've done some gaming. Maybe you've worked in something that involves distributed systems and more generally on the back end. I think at this point, media experience is just a plus, not required.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really great to share. We do get lots of questions at conferences, and especially from professionals just getting into the industry, into tech, about what type of experience do we look for in program or product managers, in engineers. And I've definitely heard that before, where it's not so much like you don't need to have, in certain circumstances, you don't need to have that specific deep knowledge of the domain. It's more so, you know, just general like computer science fundamentals, algorithms, and different things that we kind of test throughout the interview process. Right.
Yeah, I think for us, your passion, your ability to wherever you're applying your skill, you know, to take ownership and have those kind of qualities that are in addition to some specific domain knowledge, because you can pick up that domain knowledge. But if you're really someone who likes to build, is creative, likes to get things done, we're very interested.
Yes, apply. We have Cody, who is in our chat box. Cody is also on the university recruiting team, along with Lejeune, so he can definitely answer any questions you all have there as well. So please take advantage, ask us questions. We'll share the links to where you can apply as well. And speaking of university recruiting, so Lejeune, that is your expertise. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on this season and how interns have transitioned into this remote environment that we find ourselves in?
Absolutely, for sure. So I'll start by saying this. If there are any students on the call right now, our university recruiting application for interns and new grad is currently open as of October 1st. The link to apply is t.co/apply. I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat for you really quick. It's an easy one, t.co/apply. We are hiring, just like on the industry team, we are also hiring a ton. One of the things I do know for our 2021 internship season is that we will be fully remote globally. So students will be remote at their current home locations or their school locations. But in the event that we get back to the office, there's that option as well too. So keep a lookout for that. And then also we are looking to hire second and third year students, both computer science and also non-technical sides of our business. We also have an associate product manager program that has launched as well. So please do check out our application website because it has a ton of information about who we're looking to hire and all of those things. Another quick link for you all that has some pertinent information is t.co/teams. There you can find a description of all the teams that we're hiring for. And we also have an FAQ there as well. So you can find like all of the details in terms of who we're looking to hire and things of that nature.
Awesome. So LeJour mentioned non-technical internships, and Stella is our recruiter expert in this area. So Stella, can you tell us a little bit about what you recruit for, what some of the main roles are and qualifications are for these positions?
Sure, of course. Firstly, I'm going to start that we're actually recruiting for recruiters and sourcers. So if you want to join our amazing people's team, you are more than welcome. We definitely having a lot of fun together globally, as you can see. And of course, I would encourage you to apply. Also, we recruiting across all our business functions. That means from sales, what we call large customers sales, to public policy and trust and safety, which obviously will be working quite closely with Laura, I would say, on some aspects of the roles. So it's definitely a lot of cross collaborations, and all our teams are growing. We have number of roles open in trust and safety at the moment globally. So we have roles open in US, Dublin, as well as Singapore. So wherever you want to work and you have the authorization to work, we will welcome you with open arms. We have obviously public policy. We have roles open in people team. We're looking for HRBPs as well. We are looking for people to join our mop-up teams. So there is loads of opportunities. It will take too long to list all of them, but you are more than welcome to check our career site or pop in your name that you're interested in talking about opportunities that guys are sharing, and we will be more than happy to follow up with you and see if we have possible match.
Yes, Twitter is hiring so many positions, which is why we need sourcers and recruiters. So please, if you have experience in virtually anything, we probably have a job for you. So I would love to just kind of chat about what your favorite part of working at Twitter is. Laura and Mark, like all of us, right? What has kept us at the company for, all of these years? And then what is one thing that you would change? Mark, it looks like you're ready. You're ready to go.
I was waiting for Laura to jump in. Maybe I'll stall and smile for a while, and maybe Laura. Okay.
Your body language was saying that you were ready, so got to be careful with that.
Gotta learn to speak body language a little more carefully. So I think I've been at Twitter for 5.5 years, and that's the longest I've been at any company. I've been at Netflix, I've been at Amazon, I've been at startups that got bought by bigger companies. There are two things that I really like about Twitter, and one is the purpose as well as the profit. So we have two global things that we're going after as a company, and one is profit because we're a company, but the other is purpose. We serve the global conversation, and as I get farther along in my career, it really matters to me about the mission of the company that I'm spending all my time working on, and I really feel aligned with that. I feel, Twitter trying to bring the world together in conversation. Like, if I'm going to spend my career doing something, I think it's really valuable to sort of really feel that mission. I think that's probably the most major reason why I'm still here after 5.5 years. Also, I'm really passionate about the actual technology. As an engineer that we have at Twitter, we have this opportunity to, build systems that serve at enormous scale. And for me, also the fact that I mentioned before that, in my sort of sphere of the world, we only have like less than 20 people powering media at Twitter, and Twitter has a ton of media. And so the impact that an individual engineer has at Twitter is really, if you look at Twitter and you think about similar brands in terms of social media that you know of, those companies are an order of magnitude larger. And so everybody does a little bit less in terms of the scope of what they get to do. And at Twitter, you very quickly are responsible for a pretty big piece of what the company does. And that really appeals to me as an engineer. I think there was a second part to your question. I answered why Twitter, and then one thing you would change about Twitter.
That's right.
Maybe at this point, Laura will jump in, and then I will think about what I would change about Twitter.
Yeah, I'll share. I mean, you did kind of steal mine. I think the opportunity to unite profit and purpose is an amazing one. I'd say my favorite thing above all at Twitter is the people. We just have the most incredible people, and you can go see them. We talk to each other. We use Twitter like probably too much, to be honest, but it's the greatest product and we all love it. We all love not only like where we work and the purpose and this like mission and this incredible vision that we get to spend our time working towards, but you get the regular chance and the privilege to learn from some of the smartest folks in the room, and that is something that I kind of like walk humbly into each meeting, thinking what am I going to learn today? I've had the privilege and experience of working with whether it's learning stuff from interns or working with folks from the media infrastructure team on really technically and as well as kind of philosophical questions that we're facing as a team in a world and a company today. But to walk alongside these folks and get to like serve, we take that word very seriously. We serve the public conversation, and that's a really amazing thing to spend your time with. So I just love being the dumbest person in the room pretty regularly, which is pretty awesome to say about your colleagues and friends. So that would be the thing that I love the most. The thing that I would change, without doubt, which is related to the first thing, is I hate work from home. I hate it. Like, I'll say it here, like, get me back in the office. But it's an important thing for us to like figure out how to work, and it's been amazing to learn and bump along the way and go through this time. So I'm excited for all of the change to come. I think we're a team. If I've learned nothing from the last like year, is like we'll walk fervently together into big challenges and big problems. And I think we've got change ahead of us for sure, and that's going to be really fun to do as a team and figure it out along the way. But yeah, if I could change one thing right now, I'd get back in the office.
Totally. Yes, I think a lot of us miss being back in the office for the people, for so many, just the energy. It's so awesome. And Mark, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to just emphasize is that the impact that every person has at Twitter is massive. That's a lot of the things that get candidates excited. When I'm talking to them, they just talk about just having that global impact. And we only have about 5,000 employees. And on the technical side, it's even less than that. So it's just really insane how such a small amount of engineers and program managers like have all of this impact. So yeah, if that's what you're looking for, definitely apply and learn more. I do want to take a small break to answer Leslie's question in the chat. So she's a third year computer science student looking to get her first technical experience, and she wants to make her application stand out to the hiring manager. So I will kick this off to Laura or Mark, but just to begin, so Leslie, all of our applicants and anyone we meet at a conference, the first step is a call with the recruiter, or a sourcer. So this will give you an opportunity to really learn about our different positions and our interview process. So that's actually the first step. The hiring managers, sometimes go through applicants, but for the most part is the talent acquisition team. But all of that said, we do share, candidates with hiring managers. So Laura or Mark, if you could tell us, like, what is it on the resume or from the recruiter that you really just love to hear about with regards to candidates?
Sure. I'll start, I guess. I think particularly with the university hire, what really has stood out for me in the past has been excitement, pride in a project that you've worked on, that you show that it's not just a class for you. It's what you really enjoy, and that to me translates into you being excited, to learn new things and grow into to your first role in industry, because yeah, I talked about this a little earlier, maybe about 40 minutes ago, but about ownership, feeling that you really own something, and it isn't something that you're just studying because I gotta do this because I've chosen this major and it's due in a week, but that you've really gotten excited about it. And I think if you can convey that in your resume, I think that attracts me as a manager.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say I'd echo the same stuff. Like really, folks that have loved to dive in and solve something like an ambiguous problem, or stepped outside of the classroom and applied their learning in an interesting way. One of my favorite things to ask folks as they're coming through our process is what's the most interesting problem or project that you've ever worked on, and just tell me why. And then it could be anything, right? And that's really fascinating to see folks that have a real passion for things. And kind of earlier on the main stage, Nakia, our director of research, was talking about being scrappy and that kind of thing. You've got the ability to kind of make something even when the odds may have been stacked up against you. It's an amazing thing. So that I think as in a kind of product or program world, there's also really understanding the customer, and so understanding how does our product work, and what are some of the opportunities that we can go chase after, and really great stuff that we're doing as a company. But also I always love a conversation in which folks can invite challenge and bring a perspective that we may not have thought about, and kind of invite a conversation throughout the process. But yeah, in terms of standing out, just that curiosity, why, and if you've got a couple projects that you have clearly kind of delivered and had an important role in delivering on, that's awesome. And then obviously there's tech and that kind of thing, but those are just important stuff that we gotta have. But real curiosity and love of the why is irreplaceable.
Yeah. A lot of people don't necessarily talk about what they're passionate about, and that doesn't always come out in the interview. But I like to stress to candidates that it's so important, and I ask all candidates, why they're interested in Twitter, because it is important. From my experience, everyone seems very excited to work at the company, and you definitely feel the energy, especially working out of the San Francisco office. Like you said, Laura, people are just really smart and just excited to work on these problems and these cool challenges, really, that we are pioneers in tech working on these problems. So yeah, thanks for sharing. So we have a question about marketing positions. Stella, can you talk a little bit about our marketing teams and if what the hiring process looks like there?
Yes. So our marketing teams are based globally. So we have a global marketing team that look after all our branding, and we have team based in San Francisco, New York. We have team in London, Dublin. We have regional marketing team based in each of the countries that we support, and of course we have teams in Singapore and Australia, and they all working together to make sure that we're sharing the same narrative about Twitter brand within obviously the nuances of the local markets to make sure that it's appealing to our target audience. The recruiting process, it's generally speaking, the recruiting process is quite standardized. So you will have, similar to what Mariana mentioned, firstly, it's the interview with the recruiter. Then usually it's following up with the interview with the hiring manager. We usually ask at this stage as well for preparation point of view, we would suggest to the candidates to make sure that they have their portfolio ready to showcase what they've been doing, what kind of brands they've been supporting, because it's really what helps you to stand out, to the point that we've been asking before, and show it what you're capable of doing, and also open up the conversation beyond the standard questions. So that's our kind of recommendation. Then post that, you will have usually panel interviews with different, obviously, global leaders in different locations, because again, there is so much collaboration. You do work within global teams as well as much locally. And then, of course, the final stage is usually we do ask you to prepare either presentation and present it back, or put strategy together and then presented that back to the panel team. And that's basically the process. But we definitely hiring, and there is a number of positions open right now as well.
Cool. So there was a question from Mariela. That's actually my sister's name. Our dad decided to give us almost identical names, which is funny. It's a funny joke, I guess. And our parents still get our names wrong. But anyway, so they are at UC Berkeley looking for new grad opportunities in SWE or product PD, which I think means product design. So Lejeune, do you want to tell her a little bit about what that process is like? And yeah, even like what the onboarding looks like now that we are virtual?
Absolutely, yeah. So the onboarding process is very similar to how it was when we were in person. After you accept your offer and things are squared away, you'll get enrolled into flight school. Flight school is about a week long. During flight school, you'll get your laptop, you'll get all of your credentials, you'll learn about Twitter, all the essential things of being a tweep. You'll learn that during the week. And then you will also get the opportunity to connect with your teams virtually. And one thing to call out for all of our new grads and our interns is we do try to assign them mentors as well. So you'll get to meet your mentor during that onboarding week as well. And then from there, you are off to the races with the support of the university recruiting team, your manager, and your mentor, and your teams. And I believe Mariela also had a question here about how we measure success in the first few months. And I mean, I would love to share my perspective there, but I think we have some EMs on the call that might be able to offer some real industry-based stuff there. So I'll kick it over to either Mark or Laura to share how they measure success for a new grad in the first few months.
And EM is engineering manager. We use a lot of acronyms at Twitter and tech in general. So it's like learning a new language sometimes.
Do you want to go first, Mark?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Sure. So your manager, I think teams within Twitter engineering and teams within Twitter managers have a bit of latitude, and the processes by which they run are going to vary. But in terms of like onboarding, I usually work with that particular candidate, new hire rather, to form a plan for what they're going to try to do in the first few months. And often in my particular team, we have a lot of systems that are specific to media that we built, and they need to be operated. We have a language that maybe the new a coding language that the new hire may not know. We use Golang, for instance, which is pretty popular, but it's a bit different from maybe what the new hire has done before. So between those two things, there's some time spent learning some, how to code in that new language, which is actually usually pretty fun because you get to do tutorials, and I don't know, if you're like me, you like to learn a new language. And then, kind of getting your feet wet in operations, how we actually monitor our systems, how we deploy our systems, and so on, and just getting a sense for the overall architecture. And that'll take a month already. And so then you'll be assigned typically a mentor, someone who's been around a bit longer and is maybe working on a project, and they will sort of start carving out pieces of things to do, maybe a bug fix initially, and then something a little more substantial, and then we'll check in with you after 3 months and see how things are going. I mean, we'll be talking to you every day, working with you every day, but in terms of your progress, getting to where we think you need to be, within 3 months, we'll check in with you. But it generally isn't a surprise. You've been hired. You generally do a pretty good job doing that, and I haven't had a situation where after 2 months there's some sort of stressful conversation we have to have. People generally can take to the job pretty well.
And from the kind of product and program side, I think you mentioned your account, Go Bears, and for product, we have an amazing program for the associate product manager, which is a rotational program. It's got a little bit of structure. You go through and you spend 6 months in different parts of the company, kind of like learning and understanding not just like our customers in different parts of the company and how Twitter comes together as both a product and a company and a business and but you also get to expose yourself as you go and see different parts. And then at the end, then you kind of get to, at the end of that process, I think it's a 2-year program, if I recall. And then at the end of that, then you get to kind of have your permanent home after you've done some rotations. You join a team for a long period of time. But as part of that, which is the same as TPM onboarding, you get to develop a 30, 60, 90-day plan with your manager. You have a consistent manager throughout the process. We really love one-on-ones and coaching and that kind of thing. And also a great way to manage and kind of monitor progress is like peer support. We got great like mentorship networks, both small in teams that like Mark's talking about, where you've got someone that's like right there next to you, working on something, but also internally across the company, and then awesome stuff like Twitter University, where you get to learn from the smartest people in the company about the technology that they're building, which is like my favorite part of the whole thing.
Cool. So we have another question from Christine about how to transition from graphic design into front-end development. Has anyone seen that transition? Maybe Mark. I know maybe it's
so one thing I would talk about is Twitter's apprenticeship program, where we specifically have a program, and I guess we can connect later because I don't have the details in front of me, that basically brings people into development, either front-end development or back-end, from a different discipline. And so I believe the sort of process is about a year, and I think you are hired, you are an employee, I believe, could be wrong about that. But you work as an apprentice, quote unquote, and learn those new skills from where it is that you're coming from. Other things that I've seen have been people who have gone to boot camps. We've hired people who had different job descriptions. They did a boot camp and they came in and became a front-end developer. I know we hired someone in a nearby team who went just through that process.
Yeah, plus one to everything Mark said. I myself am a pretty atypical person in engineering. I have a degree in English and theology, which is rather unique. But I made a couple career shifts throughout my life, and now work in engineering at Twitter. But a big part of it's like whether you can leverage mentorship or Google is unbelievable. And all these amazing free tutorials. I taught myself how to code literally off Google for free in 2011 and 2012. And places like MySpace taught me all things front end and CSS when I was a 90s kid growing up. So, you can pick this stuff up. And so, even the fact that you're thinking about making a career shift tells me that you've got a great growth mindset and you've got a bunch of moxie that you want to make it happen. If you're looking for something more formal, boot camps are awesome. I'd highly recommend exploring our apprenticeship program and also just like trying to make something yourself, right? Like if you really, if you want to make that shift from graphics to front end, it's only a little bridge between you and kind of figuring it out and, spinning up a Ruby instance and having some fun on the internet. So go hack something away and show us what you can do. Cause that's an amazing thing for us is folks that want to get into new stuff, try new things and learn more. So do it is my encouragement.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I would add, definitely, as Laura mentioned, work on those projects and explore different learning opportunities. I know there definitely are a lot of free resources online for anyone who's looking to learn like front-end development, and add those things to your resume, add them to your LinkedIn, make sure that those projects are visible to, on your LinkedIn. Hiring managers, recruiters, we definitely look for those things. We want to see, okay, this person doesn't have work experience in this, but look, they've worked on like 5 different really awesome projects. So definitely do that. And another thing I would add is as a recruiter, and Stella and Lejourn, I'm sure you two can relate to this, but we're on LinkedIn all day, every day. Like LinkedIn stalkers, basically. So we are so used to using this as a tool and connecting with people. So definitely take advantage of, being on LinkedIn, connecting with people, looking for people that have backgrounds like what you're interested in. I'm sure there are many people on LinkedIn who have made that transition. So just kind of taking a look at their profiles and seeing, connecting with them to learn about what they did. We have a question about customer service or customer success, product management type positions from someone who's been a B2B manager with 5 years of experience in telecoms. Stella, is this something that you've seen before in the candidates you worked with, and are there opportunities? What types of opportunities are there in customer success?
Of candidates applying within very different backgrounds for the roles. I think the most important and the advice I would have here is just to make sure that you tailor your CV and really show us why you feel that you're matching the requirements for the role that you want to apply for. Because I know the statistic is going to be very harsh, but according to the recent research, recruiters spent about 8 seconds on each CV. So if your CV is not standing out and showing that you're matching the requirements for the role, it will be very difficult transition. We have number of people that move from various companies and very different backgrounds to us because they were able to showcase their transferable skills, and that will be my advice. Think about what skills you can transfer to the roles. How can you showcase those skills that are matching what it's obviously requested on the job description, and being able to showcase it again through additional learnings that you take in projects, communities that you involve in, and that will really help you to stand out and make the first step to be considered for the position, and obviously discuss that with your manager further down the line. What are your long-term plans as well? Hope that helps.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm just going through the chat here, and just to remind you all, feel free to jump in with us virtually with your camera on or off, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not sure, but you all should have that option to join us. If you're interested and you can't figure it out, let us know, or let me know, and I can I can let you into the room. Laura, is it somewhere up?
Blue button in the top right.
Okay, blue button in the top right. So come chat with us if you're comfortable. If not, we'll continue to answer questions here from the chat. So there was a question about UX design and research. It looked like that got answered, or actually, there's actually an interesting from Emanata. They're a product marketing and strategy enthusiast with a passion for launching inclusive products. So I was hoping maybe we can talk a little bit about how Twitter thinks about being inclusive and how we kind of integrate that into product development. Mark or Laura, do your teams happen to to do any of this? If not, I'm happy to jump in.
We actually just announced a new team recently, kind of like dedicated on driving more inclusivity at Twitter. Inclusion and diversity, like when you're serving the public conversation, is really important at scale. Like even if you just think about just Mark's team and all of the media that they have, right? There's so many opportunities there. There's also great partnerships that we are able to do externally and internally, and then also we have folks who at Twitter spend part of their time as kind of volunteers, kind of promoting inclusivity practices across engineering, product design, and research in a kind of like what we have at Twitter is this like good for Twitter capacity. So all of us spend a part of our jobs helping build and promote the company. So these folks kind of volunteer. I think it's about 4 hours of their time, whether that's in coaching folks, providing advice on product requirements, helping just like make folks aware of like what's top of mind and what do we need to be doing, and then also like our ERGs, our BRG Twitter Able is awesome as well, which just launched with an amazing new logo this like last week. But yeah, the employee resource group Twitter Able is also an amazing champion for allyship, inclusion, and diversity, not just internally at the company, but also throughout our product.
I'm going to say also that the whole world uses Twitter, and we want to build a product that represents that meets the requirements of all these different kinds of people. And unless we internally are represented that way, we're going to miss in our product design and our thinking. I have an example. So we released Twitter Voice as a beta about, 3 months ago, and we're very excited about this product. And we got it out the door quickly, and as soon as we launched the product, we realized we had overlooked something like enormous. Here's this new feature, Twitter Voice, and people who are hard of hearing can't use the feature. And so it really, just an example of how we can just have blind spots if we don't, have the diversity within our company, within our product teams, that is represented in our users.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Definitely, like Dantley, who is the head of research and design, he was interviewed where he talked about just the importance of having diverse teams. And I think one thing that I really love about Twitter is just transparency and their openness to say, hey, like, this is what we're doing. These are the things that we've tried. And these are the things that didn't work. So just being like accountable for these things, I love. obviously internally there's a ton of transparency, but just kind of messaging that to our users as well is really cool, because we're all learning together and we're trying to figure this out. So yeah, I love that the company is just really transparent like that. And with the Voices feature, so this month is Latinx Heritage Month, September 15th to October 15th. And the BRG that I'm a part of, which is the Latinx BRG called Alas, which means wings in Spanish. They have taken full advantage of this new feature and are highlighting different Twitter employees. So there's little snippets of their small stories about who they are, their Latinx or Hispanic identity. So hopefully we will find something to make this feature a bit more inclusive, of course. But in the meantime, I think it's been a pretty cool product or feature on the platform. There was a really interesting, or Mark, did you want to say something?
Just like speech to text on its.
Yes. Awesome. So there is a really interesting question here. It talks about how we explore projects and pitch new ideas outside of the scope of our work and the scope of our team's work. So how does Twitter encourage that, and how can one like come with new suggestions and projects to work on?
I'd say like one of the coolest things about Twitter is like we as a company often discover things that our users or that we discover through play and experimentation ourselves. And one of my favorite parts of the year is Twitter's Hack Weeks, which is like one of the best ways. If you've got an idea, we get together as a company a couple times a year, and we dedicate the whole week to do nothing but any project that you want to work on. And this could be anything. Like you could be like, I'm gonna hack together a new way that we're gonna run our recruiting panels, or you can say, you know what, Jack, I'm gonna make an edit button. I'm gonna do it. And you can do anything in between. And it's an awesome way to suggest any idea that you got at Twitter, and also you get to build it. And then at the end of the week, we all get together and you show off your ideas. Every team comes through. And what's cool is that they don't actually have to be anything to do with Twitter as well. We have folks that send up balloons to space that are live streaming from Periscope just so that we can do it. We've got teams that have fun and do things that are hilarious and funny in Hack Week. And we also ship a lot of things that were come up with by small teams in Hack Week. I think bookmarks is an awesome example. I think that was like two PMs and a couple folks that got together and created bookmarks, which is like one of the Connect Cornerstone projects. And also some things start as like little small ideas, and these seeds that get planted from Hack Week that you might not necessarily see it shift immediately, but then a couple years later you'll see it grow into something pretty cool. So Hack Week is an amazingly precious time. It's my favorite time of the year. Hack Week and planning, but I'm a program manager, so yeah, I'm a big fan of planning.
And I just want to add really quickly to Laura's statement there about Hack Week. I just dropped a YouTube link in the chat. It shows a really awesome video recap of Hack Week from 2019. I actually learned in that video that, according to Jack, Twitter was started at some form of a Hack Week. So it's very integral to our company culture and how we.
And yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's across the whole company, correct? I know in some previous companies that I've worked at, it's only been on the engineering side. But yeah, that's one of the really awesome things about Twitter. Hack Week it went on my during my second or third week at the company. So there was a ton of excitement. It was like, it felt like just being in high school or college again, where you're just walking through, you're seeing all of the amazing projects. And yeah, I mean, there's really, really creative, cool stuff going on. And like, again, to Laura's point, like you just realize how freaking smart and creative and innovative everyone is. And it's exciting to just be able to say like, these are my coworkers, like these cool, smart people.
There's even a kind of a sales component where you're trying to market yourself and your product against or project to stand out. So some of the marketing can be pretty funny as well.
Yeah, you definitely see that
sure.
The smaller teams and in the region, competition is fierce, and the way they present to the panel to win, it's unbelievable, and there is so much fun through the Hack Week for sure.
So I'm going through the chat. It looks like there's some questions about, let's see here. What are our thoughts about public conversations versus personalized public conversations? This question from Sid. So Sid, we're gonna let that simmer for a bit.
That's it. Drop in, and I want to hear your thoughts. Drop in. Tell me.
Yeah.
This is an amazing opportunity to hear from you, and I want to hear more about how do you make the distinction between those two, because it's something top of mind we're talking about right now. So drop in and let's have a conversation for sure.
Cool. So in the meantime, we've talked about, or a few people have mentioned employee resource groups, which at Twitter, we call them business resource groups, which is pretty awesome because it really tells you that, you know, how we look at employee resource groups, that it really is like business consultants, you know, they are the drivers of culture and of so many awesome things that go on at Twitter, especially within the inclusion and diversity space. So I think most of us are probably allies or in employee resource groups. So I mentioned I'm a part of the Latinx group ALAS, which I was excited about it even before I joined Twitter because they are on the platform. And so yeah, maybe you all can talk about your experience working in our employee resource groups.
Mark, you want to go first, and I can follow them behind.
You're on the spot.
Well, Twitter open.
So I guess the ways that I've worked in employee resource groups have just been through recruiting in places like National Society of Black Engineers, others in my organization. You know, we always go to Grace Hopper, and to that capacity through hiring, I guess I'm involved. I guess I don't really have much more to offer about it.
I can definitely dive in and give a whistle stop tour. The BRGs are one of my favorite parts of being at Twitter, and definitely one of the reasons why I jumped in and joined the company. And I think it's one of the coolest ways we see how we unite profit and purpose. Like right there is like what Marianne is saying, like it's called a business resource group. It's useful for recruiting our engineering managers, leverage it as a tool, right? To like access the communities, figure out what's top of mind, where folks are at, and but also it's a great place to find belonging. Twitter, we are small compared to our larger companies, but still 5,000 people, it's big, right? And it can be a really great way to kind of make sense and find a wee bit of home. As the global co-chair of Twitter Open, my job, I dedicate a significant amount of my time, about a day a week, towards my internal work related to Twitter Open. And that means that I run about a 20-person committee, of which they all kind of volunteer about 4 hours a week. And across those 20 people, we have representatives globally from all of our regions, so APAC and LATAM, North American, et cetera, as well as folks that then work on specific areas, so like events or marketing, communications, et cetera. So kind of everyone everyone gets to contribute to creating and building the BRG. And then one of the cool things is that everything then the Twitter Open handle with about, I think it's about 250,000 followers on the platform. That's just the employees that are queer folks on the platform. And so we get to do awesome stuff. Every BRG has a month in the year where you get to do tentpole activations. For Twitter Open, ours is June. October, well, it's mid-September to mid-October is Hispanic Heritage Month. We're coming into Wellness Month and Disability coming up. And so we get to do these awesome stuff internally. We got to create, typically in a normal year, Twitter Open goes to loads of pride marches. That's predominantly what we do. And this year, we found out in March that they would all be canceled. And so all of our plans went out the window. And we had to kind of come up with something new. And so we made an amazing video on the platform, kind of telling the story of folks that work at Twitter and what's it like to be queer. And we told that story from our homes as we had shifted to work from home pretty swiftly right before the month of June. And yeah, you can follow them. There's, I believe it's 8 BRGs. And if I recall, we have Twitter Parents, Twitter Able, Twitter Alas, Blackbirds, Twitter Open, Twitter Women. Oh gosh, now I'm like really, Stripes, Twitter Stripes. Twitter Stripes, don't forget Twitter Stripes, who have the best swag. It's black on black, and it's so tight. It's so tight. It's so good. And there's a couple others. We just yet to launch, but a couple others that are coming internally as well. So we're super stoked, and it's an amazing way to meet folks. There we go, Blackbird. See,
nice.
I have like 10 feet away from me, Twitter Open sign.
And I don't know if you mentioned, cute. We love swag, excuse me, at Twitter. We got some swag for Latinx Heritage Month, and I couldn't have been more excited. I've been wearing the sweatshirt like every single day. I decided to wear a different t-shirt today, the NEA shirt. And Laura, you might have mentioned this, but Twitter Faith, I believe, is our newest business resource group.
Yes, Twitter Faith.
And like something insane, I think in like a week or 2 weeks or something, they had like 1 million followers on their Twitter handle.
Yeah,
blows my mind.
Folks launched and came out of the gate. We also had to do some cool platform stuff like Twitter Faith. They launched and their handle has been wildly popular. Blackbirds did this amazing activation using like a choose your own adventure story with tweets. And it was phenomenal. I believe, I can't remember precisely where you got to go, but it was a partnership, I think with Ghana. I can't remember, Ghana Tourism.
Yep. Yeah, it was for Afrochella, which was a pretty big thing that happened last year with it being the year of the return in Africa and stuff like that. And we were one of the few companies that partnered with Afrochella to bring the conversation to the platform through that adventure option, but also we had some recaps as well in the Explore tab, so that was pretty cool. I've also been involved in the Blackbirds BRG, Alas, Twitter Parents, and it's a big part of why I stay at Twitter as well. It definitely provides community and makes me feel included in a lot of different ways. So the BRG certainly is one of the biggest reasons I'm still here and will continue to be here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think for me, the biggest one that I'm part of is the Twitter Women. I really think it's great to see the community of women leaders and trying to support each other and find, innovative ways of doing things, which is great to see. Obviously, Twitter Asia is close to my heart because I'm in Singapore right now, and it was lovely before we went to lockdown to experience the Chinese New Year, and the amount of effort and love goes into it to make sure that everyone, despite where you're coming from, you understand the history, you understand the purpose, and you can celebrate together. It's absolutely amazing, and it's heartwarming, and it make you feel home, and I absolutely love it.
Cool. So we have about 15 minutes left. I wanted to go back to the chat to answer any questions there. So it looks like there's a question about someone who is in engineering who is interested in product positions. And like Mark mentioned, we can definitely share some information about our apprenticeship program. And Laura, you mentioned like your non-traditional background. Maybe we can talk a bit about someone who is trying to make that transition and what are some key things that they can do to, you know, to start working toward product management positions.
I career switched into product management before becoming a program manager, so I can kind of speak to that. I think firstly, if you're thinking about kind of doing that, there's a lot of ways, like communities online, whether that's meetups or those kind of things. Like, go find a community of practice. And I recall Nakia saying this in the earlier main stage. Like, networking is an amazing way, right? Learning and mentoring and kind of understanding it. I definitely started to build up my kind of quote unquote product management skills, but way before I was a product manager, when I was a business analyst, kind of like at a computer with spreadsheets. And so you can kind of start kind of attending meetups, understanding what's the kind of like community of practice and where are the experts, and seek out some mentorships, and that's really good. Secondly is like product management is really kind of understanding the why. So you want to be a great study of products, both hardware, software, physical, like virtual, all of that. That kind of like love of learning and intrigue. And then thirdly, there's like just like the practice of like interviewing and the skills. So there's great blogs and places to learn that, whether it's like Folding Burritos, which is an amazing product management website, or Lenny Rachitsky's blog that you can kind of sign up to and like learn by doing. And that's kind of like where you can kind of get your feet wet and cut your teeth a wee bit. And then the final bit is apply. Like, the best way to go through the process and try and make that career switch is you know, put your hat in the ring. Go to the interviews, try it out. The worst that can happen is that they're going to say no. And trust me, about 50 companies said no to me before they said yes to me becoming a product manager. And so, you know, just try and try again. You know, you got a vision, and you can kind of you can go for it. So yeah, just I'll pause there.
That's inspiring. That's inspiring to hear 50 interviews.
Well, yeah. Prior to that, I was a startup founder, so I got very used to people saying no. A lot of no's.
Wow. And here you are.
And here I am. And here I am.
One thing that I've learned just through recruiting for product management at various tech companies is engineering does actually, I mean, it's a really nice transition in some cases into product management. Of course, there are many different, like, product managers touch so many different areas of the product development cycle, but they work very closely with engineering. And at Twitter, we have some product management teams and positions where having that engineering skill set is really, really important, because you might be working on one of our more technical product teams. So definitely understand that that is an asset to have. So, you know, highlight that on your resume and think about how those two connect when you are chatting with product managers or going through the interview process.
Yeah, for sure. And understanding like how something gets built at the end of the day is like, it's a superpower to a product manager. And then leveraging some of the APM style programs, whether it's, you know, Twitter, but also other places. Like, this is a perfect, amazing way to make that transition. And you can kind of combine your ability to know how to build stuff And then as a product manager, you own the why, and you can combine those two, and it can become a really great superpower.
So now that I think we covered a lot of the questions here in the chat, we still have 10 minutes, so please feel free to send us your questions. Let's get back to our question about what your favorite thing about working at Twitter is, or if there's anything, any like really special Twitter moments that you've had, either working remotely or, you know, we're in the office. LeJourne or Stella, do you want to share one of your stories?
Yeah, of course. And I think, you know, there was no surprise. I'm basically going to echo everything that Mark and Laura already say. People and the purpose is everything that you need. And I think when you truly believe that what you do contributes to the global change, makes you want to stay and do even more. It's similar to Mark. It's the longest job in my career, 7.5 years in one company. And I never, even once, I had a day that I would say to myself, I'm actually done. I want to look for something else. I feel that the spirit of constant learning and exploration of something new, it's unreal, and I love that. But also the reality is it's not for everyone, let's be honest. You need to be that kind of person that likes to be in situations and being able to adapt to it. And it can be hard. I've seen my best friends struggling with that and making, you know, different decisions, because it's not for everyone. You need to be able to learn quick, adapt quick, and move on quick. And it's challenging at times, but yeah, people are amazing. Everyone is here to support you, even during current times when we're working from home, and actually getting access to information can be a little bit more difficult than usual because you can't step by somebody's desk and ask questions. I still find it that people are extremely responsive, and they want to give you as much insights and information as they can, and keep that transparency and open communication as much as they can through obviously virtual resources, which is great. I think the moment that stand out for me is when I was struggling with myself, not really, I think we all at a certain time in our career have those moments when you're like, what is my next step? What I want to do? Am I ready? And it was the time when I was a senior recruiter and there was a manager role open in our team, but I was pregnant. And I wasn't sure if I'm ready to do it. And then I met Nate McSweeney, who's the MD for Twitter Dublin, in the lift. And she said just one beautiful thing that stood out to me. If you don't ask, you don't get. So she was like, you need to go for it. If you don't try, and it's to Laura's point, you get no's, but sometimes you get yes. And if you don't take the risk, how do you know that you're ready or you should be doing this? And just because of my that time current situation being pregnant shouldn't be stopping me for fulfilling my dreams. And this is my, I think, favorite moment in my career in Twitter so far.
It's going to be hard
Thanks
to
for sharing.
Oh, man. So I would say for me, I echo similar to what everyone said, the people, the community through the BRGs. But one thing that I really appreciate about this organization is the level of transparency and from the top down and across the board. I think being one of the first organizations to be public with their diversity numbers and things of that nature, to me, speaks volume to our commitment to belonging and inclusion and diversity at the organization. So that's definitely one of my favorite things about working at Twitter. And in your original question, Mariana, you said something about like something I would change. There's two things I would change. Now, these might be a little controversial here. The first one is I feel like every employee should get a verification sticker. For the engineers on the call, you could take that one back to whoever it needs to know, but but that's one thing I wish would change. And then the second thing is, man, get us the damn edit button. I want the edit button. And I appreciate that as employees, we can have that debate amongst ourselves, and Jack will be like, nope, we're not getting the edit button, guys. So those are the things for me.
All right. Wow. Ending on a high note there. I'm going to say I'm on team no edit no, don't delete the edit button. So keep it as it is. Mistakes are beautiful and they're human. And of course, there are lots of scary implications that come with, with that, which our engineers can kind of figure out. But yeah, I'm more team no edit button.
It's
Hi.
Sid. Let's talk about personalized conversations.
Welcome.
Yeah,
How's your
thank
evening
you.
or morning,
Great.
wherever
Well,
you
it's
are?
evening. I'm in Canada, Toronto. It's been a wonderful evening, and I've been kind of listening to you and was trying to figure out a way around this because app hopping is my first time experience. So it's been one of those days where I've been trying to figure out the navigation first, and then trying to figure out how is it going to work, and how do I put myself out there. So I just kind of figured a way out, and I got an invite from Marina from Twitter, and that's how I figured it out. So she sent me a direct invite, and I was like, okay, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, we're all in this together, learning. This is only the second time that I've used the platform myself. So yeah, Laura helped me out by pointing to to one of the things. But yeah, thanks for joining us. You had a question, and we'd love for you to maybe elaborate and also just give us your thoughts on the personalization or personalized communication versus not.
Well,
Yeah.
I would first of all like to thank you, everybody in the panel here. I mean, it's been a great experience. You've been very kind in sharing all your experiences with Twitter, and I'm your user. So, first up, you do a great job with your product, and it's been a great experience putting myself out there and engaging in a public conversation. At the same time, I'm a technology person as well. As an entrepreneur, I like to analyze products and services. So, and to a greater extent, when I tweet and when I experience the entire timeline, I was like, okay, I go with a top-down approach when I'm analyzing brands and different products and services. And what I realized was, following your CEO Jack, that you talk about a public conversation. So right now, this is a group conversation, but if we had to make it more public, we could get 10 other perspectives on board, right? So, I mean, that public conversation, would it be valuable for a person who is out of our own circle here? Would it be engaging for him, and would he be able to contribute to that conversation? That was my thought when I kind of analyzed the whole timeline as a consumer. And within that public conversation realm, am I able to build a new network? Like, because each network comes with circles. That's what my research says. And you have your own circle of influence. And, how do I extend that circle of influence to go beyond the current one? Because at the end of the day, when I'm interacting on a social media platform, on a public conversation, I might engage with somebody on a public conversation in India wherein my network might not like it. You see, and that is where, the idea was that if my network doesn't like it, do I want that conversation to be public? How do I make it more personal to myself? And that is because I have about 3,000 odd followers on Twitter, and I've been analyzing it for a while, and then I kind of moved on one step ahead. How does it impact the advertisers that are advertising to me? So because I have had multiple startups that I worked on and myself and products, so I like to see the entire picture. So I was trying to connect the dot, and I was like, is this public conversation the right way forward? That is the question that I asked myself. Okay, now right now on my timeline, everybody is talking about politics. And when I joined them, they were talking about businesses and startups. Now everything in the United States has gone about Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Mike Pence. And suddenly I kind of moved away from that conversation. So is there a way to engage me in a different conversation, a personalized conversation approach? So, that's where the notion came in, and, that's where, my thought process kind of landed. And, how do I mean, I'm in the market because I started with a pause, and I was like, is there an opportunity to contribute to that public conversation to make it more personal? So, I mean, Jack has talked about circles and he's talked about decentralized networks. Is there a connection to bridge a gap between them? Now, I don't have data about that, right? Because I don't know what other people are doing. This is just me and analyzing probably 10, 15 other account activities. But if you get data and if you correlate them, how does that ecosystem build together to have a more engaging and, I believe, a personalized conversation where I could be partake as a consumer and grow my interaction with the entire audience. So that is the whole. I mean, it's a larger picture, but as entrepreneurs and product person, I'm non-technical, so large picture is what it is, because you connect the dots and then you try to draw a picture, because I like to design a lot of things. So it is more or less like, okay, where did it start and where does it end? How does it bring a kind of flow in a conversation where my all stakeholders in the ecosystem are kind of having a conversation with me individually, like what Snap does or what Facebook does. And then this is the whole crux of it. And I liked your voice product when it was launched. I kind of analyzed it to an extent, trying to see where it goes, because I worked on voice projects before, like for my own startups, because I was working on a medical device. And the key is that when I looked at the voice project, the interaction piece was missing for me, and that was some of the feedback that I wanted to share with you today. Was that when you starting a conversation, and especially if it is voice and if it's not playing, you have to click a button to get that voice play to you. And there is where it breaks the kind of circle that you're trying to get in when it's a conversation, right? So that was my piece on voice. Maybe it requires something more, a little video on top of the voice. So that's up to you folks to figure out. But that was some feedback from my end.
Sid, you're coming at us with the hardest questions tonight. Oh, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. Sid, first and foremost, great product management thinking, and I really it was so cool to hear how you talk about it. To answer your question and kind of like dive into like how we think about both like serving not just the public conversation, right? Like that's global. It's global. There's loads of stuff going on across that conversation, and there's loads of nuance as well. And you can see this is a question that's at the top of our minds as well across our whole, not just like product managers at Twitter. In participation where I work, we have like a whole team dedicated to convos and stay informed and a bunch of other jobs to be done for what people hire Twitter for. And we're experimenting with it now. You can see a couple of those experiments, whether that's new types of media, so like new types of conversation in Twitter voice. So what does that look like when you actually participate in voice conversation and capturing stories and all of that you can do through that. Secondly, interest has been amazing, and kind of the ability to follow interests on the platform and kind of see your kind of conversation, your timeline get mixed in with communities and interests. I think we're in the thousands, I think, now of having launched interests, and it's an amazing way to, like you say, Sid, kind of pull in different pieces that might not just be in the people that you're following. And then the third one is a great example is us kind of looking at participation and participants in the conversation and combo controls. We did an amazing test of this partnership with, I think it was like NASA for the Mars launch and the Twitter handle, as well as a conversation between us and Oscar the Grouch and a bunch of other ways that we played around with this feature. But that's where using actually the Twitter, the tweet and the @ symbols, and actually inviting people into a conversation so you can run panels or a Q&A a lot better, and kind of like, what does that look like outside of just the timeline? And then also quote tweets and the work that we're doing there. And so like adding context and nuance to conversation. So we're experimenting with loads of stuff. We're definitely learning, taking a big kind of like open mindset to looking at this. And I'm really excited that the product roadmap for the next 2 to 3 years is so exciting with loads of stuff that we're looking in very much like this area. So I love your thinking, and also like love the feedback on the voice stuff as well. So definitely recommend. You got a mind for product, Sid, for sure. That's right.
Totally. Yeah. Sid, I don't know if you can hear us, but thank you so much for jumping in. And you were the only one this evening who did that. So yeah, as Laura mentioned, like really good, like product thinking, creative mindset. So these are conversations that we have internally, that we have on the platform. And so, yeah, many different features and just different ways to really show up and interact with others exist, and more are on the way. So we ran out of time for today, but I want to thank all of our viewers for stopping in, for asking your great questions. And I also want to thank everyone here, all of our tweets. Thank you so much for spending this evening with us here at Nextplay. And this definitely will not be the last time that Twitter is at a Nextplay event. In fact, we will continue to partner with them and have presence at several different virtual events. So does anyone have any last words?
Last question on the university recruiting side, just shoot me a DM on Twitter at StoicLays. I just dropped my handle in the chat. Looking forward to connecting with you.
He wants to be verified. So more followers, the better.
Let's get us there.
Follow all of us. Yeah, we love that. But again, Twitter is hiring. We'll drop the link in our chat. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a great evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.